Every morning, your body is faced with a quiet decision, one that determines whether your leg muscles will grow stronger or quietly shrink away. Most people don't realize this. After the age of 30, we begin to lose as much as 3 to 8% of our muscle mass every decade. This process, known as sarcopenia, speeds up dramatically after age 60, and it targets the legs first. Why? Because they're the largest and most metabolically demanding muscle group in the body. They're also the most essential for your independence, balance, and longevity. But here's the twist. It's not just exercise that determines whether you keep your strength. It's also what you feed your body first thing in the morning. Recent research in nutritional neuroscience and muscle physiology shows that your first meal of the day sends a powerful hormonal signal, a green light or a red light, for muscle preservation. One particular nutrient taken at the right time can literally flip that switch in your favor. And it's not a supplement or a synthetic powder. It's a real whole food backed by clinical trials and used in elite rehabilitation centers to stop muscle wasting. What's happening here is deeply biological. Overnight, your body goes into a mild catabolic state, breaking down tissues, including muscle, to maintain energy balance. If you don't interrupt that process in the morning with the right kind of fuel, you extend that catabolic state well into the day. That means less muscle protein synthesis, lower leg strength, and a cascade of metabolic consequences from insulin resistance to inflammation. But the solution is beautifully simple. The right food in the right form at the right time can kickstart muscle growth, protect your legs, and help you age with power instead of frailty. In this episode, we're going to explore the specific muscle-preserving nutrient you should eat within 60 minutes of waking, how your morning food affects muscle-building hormones like mTOR and cortisol, the neuroscience behind morning protein timing and focus enhancement, what happens in your muscle fibers at the cellular level when you delay or skip breakfast, a simple morning food protocol used in clinical nutrition to stop sarcopenia, and how to turn this science into an easy daily ritual that protects your strength for life. This isn't about quick fixes, it's about biological leverage, using real tools from neuroscience and physiology to stay strong, sharp, and mobile for decades to come. Let's break it down, starting with the nutrient your muscles are literally starving for each morning. You might think of breakfast as a meal for energy to get you going for the day, but to your body, especially your muscle tissue, breakfast is something much more. It's a hormonal signal. It tells your body whether to build or break down muscle. And for your legs, which make up over 50% of your muscle mass, this signal is critical. Let's unpack what's going on physiologically. When you sleep, your body enters a mild catabolic state. That means it's breaking down tissue, including muscle, to keep blood glucose stable and brain function running. This is normal, but when you wake up, that catabolic state doesn't just stop. If you don't intervene, it continues, sometimes for hours, and your muscle continues to degrade, especially if you're over 50, when anabolic resistance sets in. Anabolic resistance is the reduced ability of muscle to synthesize protein in response to amino acids. It's one of the core drivers of age-related muscle loss. A 2022 paper in Frontiers in Nutrition showed that older adults require a greater and more immediate intake of high-quality protein to trigger muscle protein synthesis than younger people. This makes morning nutrition not optional, but essential. Here's what the research shows. Your first meal of the day has a disproportionate effect on your muscle metabolism. Why? Because it interacts with your body's natural cortisol rhythm. Cortisol, often called the stress hormone, peaks in the early morning. While it helps regulate blood sugar and wakefulness, it's also catabolic. It breaks down muscle tissue to release amino acids into the bloodstream. If you don't eat a muscle-building food soon after waking, cortisol's catabolic effects go unchecked. Over time, this can accelerate muscle loss, especially in your legs, which require a high volume of protein to maintain mass. The fix is surprisingly straightforward. Eat a protein-rich food, ideally containing the amino acid leucine within 60 minutes of waking. This interrupts catabolism, lowers cortisol more effectively than carbohydrates alone, and switches on muscle protein synthesis via activation of the mTOR pathway. Think of it like flipping a biological switch. Catabolic off, anabolic on. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that consuming a leucine-rich breakfast like eggs or whey protein after waking significantly increased mTOR signaling compared to a carbohydrate-only breakfast. That means greater muscle protein synthesis, especially in fast-twitch muscle fibers responsible for power, balance, and leg strength. But the story goes deeper. This metabolic signaling also affects your brain. Feeding your muscles in the morning doesn't just help your body, it supports your cognition. Amino acids like tyrosine and tryptophan, which are found in high-protein morning foods, are precursors to dopamine and serotonin. These neurotransmitters impact your focus, motivation, and emotional regulation throughout the day. So if you've noticed low energy, slower walking, or even difficulty climbing stairs and you're skipping breakfast or eating mostly carbohydrates, your body is sending you a message. You're extending catabolism and starving the very tissues you need to maintain independence, strength, and mobility. Here's the simple tool to apply. Eat a breakfast that includes at least 30 grams of high-quality protein, ideally from eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or a protein shake rich in leucine within an hour of waking. Pair it with a small amount of healthy fat or fiber to stabilize blood sugar. You don't need a massive meal, just a smart, targeted one. And if this insight is helping you think differently about your health, consider subscribing. This channel is dedicated to helping you use science, not guesswork, to live stronger, longer, and better. In the next section, we'll break down the specific nutrient that acts as the anabolic trigger, leucine, and how it activates the very genes responsible for muscle growth. If you could flip a switch in your body that told your muscles to grow, especially the large essential muscles in your legs, would you? As it turns out, that switch exists. It's not a pharmaceutical, it's not a workout routine, it's an amino acid called leucine. Leucine is one of the 9 essential amino acids, meaning your body can't make it, you have to get it from food. But leucine is special. It plays a unique role in signaling your muscles to start building protein. It does this by activating a powerful cellular pathway called mTOR, the mechanistic target of rapamycin. Here's what the research shows. mTOR is like the command center for muscle growth. It receives input from various sources, nutrients, hormones, mechanical load like exercise, and decides whether to initiate muscle protein synthesis. But leucine is the most potent nutritional activator of mTOR. Without it, the muscle building process stays in standby mode. A 2011 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrated that older adults who consumed a leucine-enriched protein meal had significantly greater muscle protein synthesis compared to those who consumed protein lower in leucine, even when total protein amounts were equal. The difference wasn't quantity, it was quality. So what foods give you the leucine boost you need? Here's the short list of leucine-rich morning foods that are easy to incorporate. Eggs, especially whole eggs, about 0.5 grams of leucine per egg. Whey protein isolate, extremely rich, about 2.5 grams per scoop. Greek yogurt, unsweetened, high protein, roughly 1.2 grams per serving. Cottage cheese, high in both leucine and casein, great for sustained protein release. Lean chicken or turkey, if you're a savory breakfast eater, roughly 2 grams per 3 ounces. The goal? Aim for at least 2.5 grams of leucine in your first meal. That's the threshold shown in studies to reliably trigger mTOR in older adults who have what's known as anabolic resistance, meaning your muscles become less responsive to protein as you age. If you're over 60, this matters even more. You may need up to 40 grams of protein per meal to achieve what a younger adult can get from 20. That's not a flaw, it's biology. But it means your morning food must be intentional, not random. Let's talk about application. A simple morning routine that works for most people looks like this. Within 60 minutes of waking, consume a meal that contains 1 scoop of whey protein, 2.5 grams less leucine, or 3 eggs with Greek yogurt or cottage cheese on the side. Pair with a small portion of oats, berries, or avocado to stabilize blood sugar. Optional, add a tablespoon of flaxseed or chia for extra fiber and omega-3s. You might be wondering, why not just take a leucine supplement? Some research has explored this, but whole foods remain superior for several reasons. They provide supporting amino acids, better absorption, and more sustained anabolic signaling. Plus, they contribute to satiety, metabolic health, and nutrient diversity, all of which matter for long-term strength and energy. Here's a practical analogy. Leucine is like the ignition key in your car. Protein alone is the engine, but without turning the key, you're not going anywhere. If your breakfast is low in leucine, it's like pouring gas into a car but never starting it. And remember, this matters most for your legs because they require more activation to maintain strength and prevent shrinkage. Studies show that once leg muscle loss begins, it predicts declines in walking speed, balance, and even cognition in older adults. So this isn't just about fitness, it's about independence. And if you're finding this useful, I invite you to subscribe and stay with us. Every week, we translate neuroscience and physiology into clear, actionable tools to help you build a stronger body and mind. Next, we'll explore how the hormone cortisol plays a silent but powerful role in muscle breakdown and how your morning food can regulate it to protect your strength. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood players in your morning physiology, cortisol. You've probably heard it called the stress hormone, but in reality, cortisol is essential for life. It helps you wake up, stay alert, regulate metabolism, and maintain blood sugar. The problem isn't cortisol itself, it's how long it stays elevated and what happens when you don't counterbalance its effects. And this is where muscle, especially leg muscle, becomes vulnerable. Cortisol levels naturally rise in the early hours of the morning, a phenomenon called the cortisol awakening response. This is part of your body's circadian rhythm. It helps you transition from rest to wakefulness by mobilizing stored energy and increasing mental clarity. But cortisol is also catabolic, meaning it breaks down tissues, including muscle protein, to release amino acids into the bloodstream. In short bursts, this is adaptive, but when cortisol remains high for too long or when there's no counter signal from food, the breakdown continues. This becomes especially problematic as you age. After 60, your body's ability to rebuild muscle, anabolism, is already blunted due to anabolic resistance. So if you don't interrupt cortisol-driven catabolism with food, particularly protein, you're compounding the loss. Now, here's where it gets practical. Studies show that consuming a protein-rich breakfast not only initiates muscle protein synthesis via mTOR activation, but also blunts excessive cortisol levels. A 2010 study in psychoneuroendocrinology demonstrated that high-protein meals reduced post-awakening cortisol by up to 25% compared to low-protein or high-carb meals. This is especially powerful in the morning, when your cortisol is naturally peaking. So what happens if you skip breakfast altogether or grab just a piece of toast or a coffee? You're sending your body a message that there's no incoming fuel that tells your system keep breaking down muscle to survive. Over time, this translates to loss of strength in your legs, reduced balance, and even lower cognitive performance since skeletal muscle interacts with brain health via anti-inflammatory myokines like BDNF. A better option is to eat a cortisol-countering, muscle-sparing breakfast, one that combines protein, fat, and fiber to stabilize both blood sugar and stress hormones. Here's a simple protocol. The cortisol balancing morning meal: 3 eggs or 1 scoop whey protein, a cup of Greek yogurt or 2 oz cottage cheese, or avocado or a small handful of almond. Optional, a few berries or oats for low glycemic carbs. Eat within 60 minutes of waking. This combination provides leucine to trigger mTOR, full-spectrum protein to support repair, and healthy fat to slow digestion, reducing cortisol spikes and crashes. Have you ever noticed that you feel more anxious, scattered, or even weak in the legs when you skip breakfast? That's not in your head. It's cortisol and blood sugar, and they're dragging your muscle and brain along for the ride. And here's what's even more interesting. Regulating cortisol in the morning has downstream effects on your motivation and habit formation. Elevated cortisol has been shown to reduce dopamine receptor sensitivity, meaning you feel less drive, reward, and enthusiasm for the day ahead. This can make you less likely to exercise, eat well later, or even stay socially connected, all things that help you retain leg strength and independence. So this one decision, what you eat within the first hour of waking, has ripple effects across your hormonal landscape, muscular health, and even your willpower. It's not just about food, it's about creating a neurobiological foundation for strength and resilience. In our next segment, we'll take this a step further and outline a full science-backed morning protocol that combines food timing, movement, and behavioral cues to maximize muscle retention, especially in the legs. By now, we've established that your first meal of the day and how you time it sends powerful signals to your muscles, hormones, and brain. But nutrition is just one piece of a larger puzzle. To truly stop leg muscle loss, especially as you move past 60, you need a morning protocol, a consistent series of behaviors that work together to prime your biology for strength. Let's walk through a powerful evidence-based routine that leverages neuroscience, endocrinology, and behavioral science. This protocol is grounded in recent research, including findings from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Frontiers in Physiology, and the Journal of Applied Physiology. Step 1, light, movement, and water within 10 minutes of waking. Start your day by going outside or near a window and getting bright natural light into your eyes. This anchors your circadian rhythm, lowers residual melatonin, and supports healthy cortisol rhythm, turning cortisol from a catabolic threat into a wakefulness ally. Pair this with light movement, a short 3 to 5 minute walk, gentle stretching, or even standing heel raises can increase blood flow to the legs and prime neuromuscular activation. Why? Research shows that early movement enhances muscle insulin sensitivity and helps initiate anabolic signaling. Tool: drink 1 to 2 cups of water with electrolytes or a pinch of sea salt to rehydrate and improve neuromuscular function. Step 2. Eat a leucine-rich, high-protein meal within 60 minutes. As explained earlier, this is critical for shutting down overnight catabolism. Your target should be 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein, at least 2 and 5 grams of leucine. An example: 3 eggs, 1 scoop whey protein, half avocado, Or 1 serving cottage cheese, pimiocytreas nas vitayu and allergism paths, you mirodny per socialisticus, you don't and buries or detishbatlet, net jeries except cornutua. Or 1 tofu scramble with lentils and nutritional yeast. For plant-based eaters, this meal stabilizes blood sugar, lowers excess cortisol, and turns on mTOR, your body's primary muscle-building pathway. If you're over 60, timing and dose matter more than ever. Behavioral tip: eat seated and undistracted. Mindful eating improves digestion and nutrient absorption and reinforces the habit loop of self-care. Step 3, post-meal leg activation. Yam 10 to 15 minutes after eating. Once you've eaten, your muscles are primed for nutrient uptake, especially if you move them. You don't need a full workout here. A short bout of leg-focused stimulation is enough to signal your brain and body that your leg muscles matter. Here's a proven mini circuit, 2 to 3 rounds. 10 bodyweight squats, 10 standing calf raises, 20-second wall sit, optional. Walk up and down stairs for 2 minutes. Why this matters? Exercise sensitizes muscle tissue to amino acids and insulin. According to a 2018 study in the Journal of Gerontology, just 10 minutes of post-meal activity significantly enhances protein utilization in older adults. Step 4, reflective practice, or journaling, 5 minutes. Neuroscience shows that reflection strengthens intention. By quickly journaling one health goal or writing a short gratitude note, you reinforce motivation pathways in the prefrontal cortex and limbic system. Prompt ideas: what's one strength-focused action I'll take today? I'm grateful for my body's ability to. This morning, I protected my future self by. This might seem small, but repeated daily, it builds what behavioral psychologists call identity reinforcement, the process of becoming the kind of person who takes care of their body. This 4-part protocol, light flow movement, strategic eating, muscle activation, and reflective intent, creates a physiological cascade that turns your morning into a muscle-saving ritual. It's about consistency, not perfection. And if you found this protocol helpful, consider subscribing. Each week we bring you science-based tools you can act on to not just live longer, but stronger. Now we'll look at the hidden cost of skipping breakfast and how it accelerates leg muscle loss, even in people who think they're doing everything right. Let's address a common habit that's quietly accelerating leg muscle loss in millions of people, especially those over 60, skipping breakfast. Intermittent fasting has become a popular strategy for weight loss and metabolic health, and in certain contexts it works well. But what many don't realize is that delaying your first meal too long, especially as you age, can actually speed up sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass, strength, and function. Why? Because of how your circadian biology, cortisol levels, and muscle protein synthesis thresholds change after 50. Here's the science. As we age, we experience anabolic resistance, meaning our muscles are less responsive to amino acids. What a 25-year-old can achieve with 15 to 20 grams of protein, a 65-year-old may need 30 to 40 grams to match. And not just the quantity, the timing becomes critical too. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health, and Aging found that older adults who distributed their protein intake evenly across meals preserved more muscle mass than those who consumed most of it at lunch or dinner. The researchers concluded that early day protein intake, especially at breakfast, is essential for maintaining muscle over time. Now combine that with what we know about cortisol. In the morning, your cortisol levels are naturally high, which is fine when it's buffered by food, but if you skip breakfast and stay in a fasted state until noon, your body continues to catabolize or break down muscle tissue, especially in your legs where muscles are largest and most metabolically active. This is especially dangerous if you're also sedentary in the morning, which many people are. You're essentially signaling to your body that muscle isn't needed, and worse, it's expendable for fuel. A key hormone involved here is myostatin, a protein that inhibits muscle growth. Prolonged fasting and inactivity can increase myostatin expression, creating a double-edged sword, reduced muscle building, and increased muscle breakdown. Not ideal if you're trying to stay strong, mobile, and independent. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine a 65-year-old man who's trying to manage his weight, so he skips breakfast and only eats lunch and dinner. He sits for most of the morning, maybe does a light walk in the afternoon, and has a decent protein intake overall. On paper, it might seem balanced, but physiologically, his first 6 waking hours are dominated by catabolism. Cortisol is high, insulin is low, muscle protein synthesis is inactive, and myostatin may be elevated. His body is breaking down muscle, not building it, and over months and years, this adds up to leg weakness, poor balance, and increased fall risk. Now contrast that with someone who activates their muscles and metabolism early. They hydrate, move lightly, eat a leucine-rich breakfast, and even do 2 minutes of leg exercises. This person is sending their body a very different signal, one that says these muscles matter, keep them. And the benefit isn't just physical. Research from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism shows that early high-protein intake improves mood, cognition, and executive function, especially in older adults. So by protecting your muscles, you're also enhancing your brain. This isn't to say that everyone needs to eat at 6 a.m., but skipping your first meal past 10 or 11 a.m. regularly without any protein intake or leg activation creates the perfect storm for sarcopenia. The takeaway is clear. Your legs are your foundation. They carry you, stabilize you, and help regulate blood sugar and brain health. Skipping breakfast might seem harmless, but over time, it's a silent accelerant of decline. In our final core segment, we'll dive into one of the most powerful, underused tools for leg strength and longevity, collagen and vitamin C, and how they interact to rebuild muscle and joint integrity when taken at the right time. We've talked about cortisol, protein, and the timing of your first meal, but there's one final piece that often gets overlooked in conversations about leg muscle loss: collagen. More specifically, how collagen, when combined with vitamin C and timed properly, can play a powerful role in rebuilding leg strength, joint integrity, and overall mobility. Most people think of collagen as something for skin or beauty, but its benefits go far deeper, especially if you're over 60 and concerned about leg pain, stiffness, or muscle wasting. Here's the science. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. It forms the connective tissue that holds your muscles to your bones, tendons, keeps your joints cushioned, cartilage, and supports your ligaments, fascia, and even blood vessels. As we age, collagen synthesis naturally declines, contributing to weaker tendons, tighter joints, and even slower muscle repair. Now, here's where it gets interesting for your legs. In a groundbreaking study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2017, Dr. Keith Barr and his team found that ingesting 15 grams of hydrolyzed collagen with vitamin C 30 to 60 minutes before exercise significantly increased collagen synthesis in tendons. The combination led to faster repair of the connective tissue and improved mechanical strength. This matters because you don't just lose muscle with age, you lose the scaffolding that supports it. Weak tendons and stiff joints reduce your ability to use your legs fully, making it harder to perform even basic strengthening exercises. That loss of mechanical input accelerates muscle atrophy, especially in the quads, glutes, and calves. But if you feed your body the raw materials, collagen plus vitamin C, and add just a small amount of movement to stimulate tissue turnover, you're giving your legs the signal: rebuild, strengthen, adapt. So what's the protocol? The collagen activation routine? 15 grams of hydrolyzed collagen peptides. Look for types I and III, sourced from bovine or marine collagen. 50 to 100 milligrams of vitamin C from a supplement or a small citrus fruit like half an orange. Timing 30 to 60 minutes before light movement or leg-focused exercise. Then follow it with 10 to 15 minutes of walking, squats, stair climbing, or resistance bands targeting the lower body. This simple routine, done 3 to 4 times per week, can significantly improve tendon integrity, joint function, and muscle recovery, particularly when paired with the high-protein morning meals we discussed earlier. Have you noticed how many people over 60 complain of joint stiffness, knee pain, or tight hips, even if they're eating plenty of protein? It's often not a muscle issue. It's a collagen deficiency issue. And while your body can produce collagen on its own, it needs the right raw materials, and vitamin C is non-negotiable. Without it, the body literally cannot complete the enzymatic reaction to build new collagen fibers. This is why simply taking collagen anytime during the day isn't as effective. Timing matters. Collagen is most potent when it's paired with movement because that's when the tissue is being stressed and the brain is signaling for repair. You can think of it like this: collagen, vitamin C, the bricks and mortar; movement, the construction signal. Without either, no rebuilding happens. So if you're over 60 dealing with stiff knees and worried about losing leg strength, don't just think about protein and exercise. Think about your connective tissue and give your body the tools to rebuild it from the inside out. If you've stayed with me through this entire exploration, you now understand something most people never hear from their doctors. Leg muscle loss is not inevitable, it's reversible, but only if you make the right morning choices. We began with a simple idea: what you eat and do in the first hour after waking sends a powerful signal to your muscles, your hormones, and your aging process. Let's quickly revisit the science-backed tools we've uncovered. Morning protein and leucine. A high-protein breakfast with at least 2.5 grams of leucine flips the switch on muscle protein synthesis, especially critical after age 60 when anabolic resistance sets in. Cortisol and circadian biology: your morning cortisol isn't the enemy, but without food and movement, it becomes catabolic. Eating within 60 minutes and adding gentle leg activation helps protect muscle integrity. Insulin sensitivity timing. Your muscles are most insulin sensitive in the morning. Use this window to shuttle amino acids and nutrients where they matter most, your legs. Daily protocols. Light, movement, hydration, and mindful activation can take less than 20 minutes and profoundly shift your biology from degeneration to regeneration. The danger of skipping breakfast. For older adults, skipping that first meal means prolonged catabolism, higher myostatin levels, and accelerated sarcopenia, especially if you're sedentary in the morning. Collagen Vitamin C. This underutilized combo, taken before movement, strengthens tendons, improves joint mobility, and supports the framework that muscle depends on. Now here's the truth. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle. You just need to own your morning, because that first 60 to 90 minutes sets the tone for everything: your metabolism, your strength, your resilience, and even your brain health. So here's your challenge, and it starts tomorrow. Wake up, get sunlight, move your legs gently, walk, stretch, do heel raises, eat 30 to 40 grams of protein with leucine. Try collagen vitamin C before light activity 3 to 4 times a week. And take a moment to reflect, how am I building strength today? Over time, these small acts compound. You'll feel more grounded, balanced, and energized. Your legs, the very foundation of your independence, will begin to respond. Because this isn't just about building muscle, it's about building a future you're proud to live in. If this speech helped you, if it sparked even one idea that makes you want to treat your body with more respect and intelligence, I invite you to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to join this growing community.
Together, we translate neuroscience into action.
We turn evidence into strength. And we walk forward one morning at a time with clarity, courage, and control. You're not too old. It's not too late. Your strongest days might still be ahead. Let's build them starting tomorrow morning.